Hello, in today's tutorial I would like to talk about customer tracking and identity resolution. I would like to show you a graph how we track customers in Trocari so you can understand what's the difference between session and profile ID. Okay, let's get started. Some of you already seen this integration test page for Trocari where we put the script for tracking and where we send some events to Trocari. And we also see a response from the server. I would like to show you where we store profile ID and the session. I already configured this page so it can take some events, and we can see the response from the server that it created a profile ID. When we refresh this page, every time we will see the same profile. When a profile is stored, we can inspect the underneath communication with the server, and we can see that the profile is stored in a local storage. Here is a profile, Trocari profile ID, and it's saved here. We also store a session. A session is like a visit. When somebody opens a browser, the session is created, and then when he closes it, the session is erased and a new session will be created when the browser is reopened. And the session is saved in cookies. Here we go, Trocari session ID. We can go to Trocari and see that my profile ID is actually the same here, and we have the same session ID right here. Here we go, the session starts with 14 and the profile is E41. Okay, now to understand how the session is created and how the profiles are created and how they are sustained through the customer journey, how they stay unchanged, I will show you a graph that will represent the customer journey. We have customer 1. The customer uses two browsers, one browser at his home and one browser at work. So we have two browsers, and within the first browser, customer visits a page and makes some clicks. Those circles represent clicks, and with each click we send an event to Trocari. And when customer closes the browser and reopens it, we have another visit, and we have also like a stream of clicks, and each click represents an event. When there is a first visit, a session ID is created. This is a random number and it stays the same through the whole journey when the browser is open. So as long as the session stays the same, we consider this a visit. For mobile devices, you can control it. So when an app opens, you can generate session ID and keep it as long as you want, and actually erase it, for example, if customer logs out or close the application. And the same happens with another visit. So when for example, the browser is closed and it's reopened, the new session ID is generated, and this is session ID 2, and it stays as long as the browser is opened. For the profile ID, the profile ID is not available when we first visit the page. So there is no profile ID. The script that is placed on the web page will generate a profile ID if there is none in the database, and will attach this to the browser and actually store it in a local storage. So it stays the same and it's attached to the browser. It means that it will stay the same regardless if we close and open the browser. So we'll have different sessions, but we'll have the same profile ID through the whole journey that is connected to the browser. The same we can do with the mobile application. Now, when we have another visit that is performed on a different browser, actually for example at work, we have the same situation. We have a visit that has a different session ID, but this is a different browser, and we have created a different profile ID. So now we have two profiles, A and B, and we have 4 sessions. For the browser 2, we have the same profile ID. It stays the same through the whole journey that is performed on the browser 2. Now, when we create an identification point, this is like an event that says, okay, let's check if there's any profile with the same email in our database. We can merge the profiles from browser 1 and browser 2 into one profile. Merging will copy all the data from the profile A to profile B and will create one profile. And from now on, the journey performed on browser 1 or browser 2 will have the same profile. What it means, it will have different session ID, but the profile will be, for example, profile B. What is more interesting, it actually has multiple profile IDs. It means that when we fetch for data for profile A, it will fetch the same data as if we fetch data from profile B. That means from now on, we have like one profile with two IDs. This can be confusing. Why we need a profile with many IDs? Actually, let's look into the data so you can understand it better. Okay, let's look at this profile, and we can see that we have one ID, but we have also three IDs that this profile was merged with. To explain it better, for example, we've been using browser 1 and this is the browser 1, and when we merged it, we found three profiles. So we found from browser 1, browser 2 and some mobile device. When we've merged those profiles, we could replace this ID on the browser 1, but we could not do it on browser 2 or on a mobile device. So next time when the customer comes from the mobile device, it will send this profile ID. So we need a way to find out the current profile. This is how we find it, and then we can replace this ID on the device with the actual new ID. But till then, we need to keep several IDs because there's no way to replace the ID on the device that was not used. Okay, so this is it. This is how we track customers and how we resolve their identity. It may seem a bit difficult to understand, but actually it's quite simple. We have different sessions which represent visits, and then we have many profile IDs that merge at the identification point into one profile.